In this crazy, hyper-connected world we live in, our attention is constantly being pulled in a million different directions. It's like a constant tug of war. But what if you could actually fight back? Well, today, we're breaking down a battle plan for winning that war against distraction and finally reclaiming your focus. Let's get right into it. Does this sound familiar? You sit down, you're ready to study, you're ready to work, and the next thing you know, poof, an hour is just gone. You've scrolled through some feeds, maybe answered a few texts, watched a couple of videos, but that one big task, it's still sitting there, untouched. And hey, you are not alone in this. It's pretty much a modern epidemic. And look, the stakes here are super high. We're not just talking about minor interruptions. These things are fundamental roadblocks to your success. They literally chip away at our ability to think deeply, they shatter our learning process into a million little pieces, and they can absolutely torpedo our productivity. The real takeaway is that getting a handle on this isn't some luxury. It's absolutely essential if you want to succeed. So, to tackle this beast, we need a strategy. Here's our game plan. First, we're going to define the enemy in the distraction dilemma. Then, we'll build up our defenses by controlling our environment. After that, it's all about training our minds to master inner focus. And finally, we'll call in the cavalry by building a support system. All right, let's dive right into part one, the distraction dilemma. Like any good strategist will tell you, the very first step is to understand exactly what you're up against. You just can't fight an enemy you can't see. So what are we actually up against? Well, it takes a lot of different forms. You've got the obvious ones, right? The digital culprits like social media notifications that are basically engineered to be addictive. But then there are the physical ones, like a messy desk that creates all this visual noise, or just the constant hum of background chatter. And maybe the toughest enemy of all is the one inside, our own personal vulnerabilities, that urge to procrastinate, or our mind just craving something new. Just acknowledging that these exist is the first step to disarming them. Okay, so that brings us to our first line of defense, taking command of your surroundings. This is where you build your fortress against all those interruptions. Just think about the difference here. It's like night and day. On one side, you have a total recipe for distraction. Clutter, noise, constant interruptions. Every little thing in a cluttered space is fighting for your attention, which puts this real strain on your brain. But on the other side, you have a focused zone. It's clean, it's quiet, and it has clear boundaries. The goal isn't just to be tidy. It's to create a space where focusing is the easiest thing to do. So, how do we actually build that sanctuary? Here are 5 simple steps you can take. First, pick one spot that is only for work or study. This actually trains your brain to flip into focus mode the moment you sit down there. Next, declutter. Seriously, a clean space helps create a clear mind. Make sure you've got good lighting, control the noise with headphones or even just earplugs, and this is a big one, tell people when your focus times are. Setting those boundaries is absolutely non-negotiable. And of course, we gotta talk about the digital battlefield. The absolute easiest win here, turn off all non-essential notifications. Be ruthless about it. If it's not critical, it goes on silent. For a stronger defense, try using website blocker apps during your focus sessions. And maybe even designate specific times where your phone is completely off, or better yet, in another room. Creating that real digital separation is a game changer. All right, so we've beefed up our external defenses. Now it's time to train the muscle between our ears. This whole section is about mastering your internal world. One of the most powerful tools for this is something called time blocking. It's a really simple but kind of profound idea. Instead of a vague to-do list, you give every single minute of your workday a specific job. The magic here is that it completely gets rid of that draining little question of, what should I do next? And that frees up all that mental energy for the task you're actually doing. And actually putting this into practice is pretty straightforward. First, you gotta know yourself. Figure out when you're most alert and schedule your toughest tasks for those peak times. Be realistic with how long you think things will take so you don't feel rushed. And please remember, the break blocks are just as important as the work blocks. Scheduling those short, refreshing breaks is key to recharging your mind. And this right here, this is really the core of that mental training. Your mind is going to wander. That's just what minds do. The skill isn't to never get distracted. The skill is to notice when it happens, and then gently but firmly bring your attention back to your task, over and over and over again. Honestly, just think of it like a mental push-up. And to back up that mental training, you gotta build some productive habits. Go into every single session with a specific achievable goal. If a task feels huge and overwhelming, break it down into smaller, more manageable chunks. That's how you build momentum. And get active with your material. Don't just read it. Take notes, try to summarize ideas, or even explain it out loud to yourself. Okay, for our final strategy, and this is a big one, remember, you don't have to fight this battle all by yourself. The most successful people know when it's time to call in some reinforcements by building a really strong support system. I mean, your network is such a powerful asset. Finding a study buddy or a group creates this mutual accountability, which makes it way harder to slack off. And taking advantage of university resources like tutoring or workshops, that's not a sign of weakness. It's a smart, strategic move. And please, don't be afraid to talk to your professors for advice. They can often offer a perspective that just makes everything click. And this is so important. Sustainable focus isn't just about grinding away for hours on end. It's about balance. A brain that's well-rested, well-fed, and physically active is a brain that can actually concentrate. Sleep is when your brain locks in memories. Exercise releases chemicals that improve focus. Neglecting self-care because you think you need to be more productive is the ultimate trap. It will always backfire. So if there's one big thing I want you to walk away with, it's this. There is no magic button here. Conquering distraction isn't a one-time fix. It's a continuous cycle of experimenting to see what works for you, adjusting your strategies when you have a setback, and just staying adaptable because, let's be real, new distractions are always going to pop up. So I'm going to leave you with this question. Forget trying to fix everything all at once. Based on what we just talked about, what is the one single distraction you'll focus on conquering this week? Just start there.